What if the monster you have been running from your entire life holds the very key to your divine mission? What if the darkness you fight in the secret chambers of your heart is not an enemy to be vanquished, but a forgotten God waiting to be named? This is not a paradox. It is a sacred cipher, and today we will decode it together. You have been called here, to this exact moment, to receive this transmission because you are ready to stop fighting and start becoming whole. The war within is about to end, not with a victory but with an alliance. You feel it, don't you? This sense of being two distinct beings housed in one body. There is the you that the world sees, the you that strives, that loves, that pushes towards the light of your sacred purpose. This is the healer, the innovator, the leader. You pour your energy into your calling, you seek knowledge, you meditate, you try to raise your vibration. You are the polished, luminous vessel carrying a message of hope and transformation for this world. This is the identity you hold on to, the mask of the warrior of light you wear with pride and with great effort. But then, in the quiet hours, when the world is asleep and your defenses are down, the other one emerges. It is a phantom weight in your soul, a discordant note in the symphony of your spirit. This is the part of you that whispers of inadequacy when you are on the brink of success. It is the sudden, inexplicable wave of anger that floods you when you are trying to be compassionate. It is the cold dread that tells you you are a fraud, that your mission is a delusion, and that sooner or later, everyone will discover that you are not as enlightened or as powerful as you pretend to be. This other self is a saboteur. It procrastinates on the very tasks that would fulfill your mission. It craves distractions that lower your frequency. It replays old wounds and past failures on a relentless loop, ensuring the pain never fully subsides. You have fought it for years, perhaps decades. You have tried to starve it with positivity, to burn it away with spiritual fire, to cast it out with affirmations and decrees. Yet no matter how hard you fight, it remains. It is your oldest companion and your most intimate enemy. It is the stain on your soul that you cannot seem to cleanse. The central fear that this internal war generates is not merely the fear of failure. It is a far more terrifying, existential dread. The shadow of doubt whispers a singular, paralyzing question into your spirit. What if this darkness is the real you? What if the light you strive for is the performance, and the saboteur, the angry critic, the frightened child within, what if that is your true nature? This fear tells you that your mission is a lie you tell yourself to escape the horrible truth of your own inadequacy, that you are not a chosen one, but a broken one, pretending to be whole. This fear isolates you. It convinces you that you are the only one with such a monstrous, hidden self. You look at other spiritual leaders, other healers, other guides, and they seem so pure, so integrated, so free from this internal conflict. The fear tells you that if they knew what lurked within you, they would cast you out. And so you hide it. You build walls of spiritual perfectionism around your heart, creating a prison where you are both the inmate and the warden, eternally vigilant against your own nature, exhausted from a battle that has no end in sight. To understand the path to wholeness, I must share with you a parable from the forgotten ages, a story that is not written in any book but is etched into the akashic memory of every chosen soul. It is the story of Kaelin, the sun singer, and the encroaching murk. Imagine a valley, nestled between mountains so high their peaks kissed the stars. This was the Lumina Valley, a place of impossible beauty, where the flowers glowed with their own inner light, and the river sang harmonies with the wind. The people there were joyful, their hearts full of peace. Their peace was kept by one soul, Kaelin. From birth, he had a gift unlike any other. He could weave pure sunlight into melody. When Kalen sang, his voice was not mere sound. It was liquid gold, a cascade of warmth and brilliance that nourished the valley. His songs made the crops grow, healed the sick, and kept the shadows of the world at bay. He was their protector, their beacon, their chosen one. His identity, his purpose, and his worth were all tied to his ability to sing the light. He was loved, he was revered, and he was profoundly good. But at the northern edge of the valley, where the mountains were sharpest and the winds coldest, lay the obsidian peaks. From these peaks, a strange phenomenon began to occur. A creeping, silent, formless entity started to descend. It was not darkness, for darkness is merely the absence of light. This was something more. They called it the murk. It was a thick, sound-dampening, joy-leeching presence. It didn't destroy things, it simply diminished them. Where the murk settled, the glowing flowers would dim, the river's song would become a dull hum, and the people's hearts would grow heavy with an unnamed sorrow. Kalen, seeing this threat to his home and his purpose, did what he knew best. He stood at the edge of the encroaching murk, and he sang. He poured all his power, all his light, all his being into his melodies. He sang songs of courage, of brilliance, of pure, unadulterated sun. The light from his voice would push the murk back. For a day or a week, the valley would be safe. The people would cheer his name, his sense of purpose would be restored, and he would feel the familiar warmth of being their savior, their warrior of light. But the murk always returned. And each time it returned, it seemed a little thicker, a little more resistant to his song. Kalen had to sing longer, louder, pouring more of his life force into the effort. The strain began to show. His voice grew hoarse. Lines of exhaustion etched themselves onto his face. The joy of singing became a burden, a duty, a desperate fight. He began to resent the very gift that defined him, because it was no longer enough. The warrior of light was losing his war, and a cold sliver of fear began to lodge itself in his heart. He noticed something terrifying. A small patch of the murk seemed to cling to him. After a long day of singing, he would retreat to his home, and in the quiet he could feel it, a cold spot in his own spirit, a place where his inner light felt dim and his own song felt muted. He tried to sing it away from himself, focusing his power inward, but it was like trying to outrun his own shadow. The more he fought the murk in the valley, the more it seemed to take root within him. His greatest enemy was no longer just at the border, it was inside his own soul. Desperate, Kalen did something he had never done before. He stopped looking for a more powerful song and started looking for a wiser answer. He journeyed to the highest, most inaccessible cliffs of the valley, to the home of Alara, a hermit who was said to speak the language of the stones and the stars. She was ancient, her eyes holding the depth of 1,000 winters. She listened patiently as Kalen poured out his story, his frustration, his fear that the murk was consuming him from the inside out, that he was failing in his sacred mission. When he finished, Alara did not offer him a new melody or a magical artifact. She simply looked at him with profound compassion and said, "You cannot defeat a shadow by shouting at it with more light, sun singer. You have spent your life pushing it away. Have you ever once tried to walk into it? Have you ever asked it why it is here?" Kalen was stunned. Walk into the very thing that leached joy and life. It was madness. It went against every instinct he had as a protector, as a warrior of light. "It is not your enemy, Kalen," Alara continued, her voice as soft as falling snow. "It is your valley's forgotten self. Every secret sorrow, every unspoken fear, every tear shed in silence by your people. It did not vanish. It gathered. It coalesced in the cold mountains, waiting not for a warrior to fight it, but for a healer to listen to it. It has a name, and your mission is not to banish it, but to learn that name. Your true song is not one of victory. It is one of recognition. She then fell silent, offering no more guidance. Kalen returned to the valley, his mind in turmoil. Alara's words felt both insane and deeply true. The fear was immense. To walk into the murk was to risk being extinguished, to have his light, his very identity, snuffed out. For days he wrestled with this choice. He continued his fight, but his heart was no longer in it. His songs felt hollow. He realized that his war was born of fear, the fear of not being the sun singer, the fear of what would happen if his light was not enough. He was fighting to protect his identity as much as his home. Finally, exhausted and seeing no other path, he made his decision. He would walk into the murk. He walked to the northern edge of the valley, not with a song of battle on his lips, but with a silent prayer for courage. The people watched in horror, begging him to turn back, to sing his brilliant songs and save them. He looked at them, his heart aching with love, and took his first step into the cold, silent, clinging presence. It felt like stepping into an icy ocean. The murk enveloped him instantly. His inner light, the constant companion of his entire life, flickered violently. The air grew thick and heavy, and a profound silence fell, a silence so deep it felt like the end of all things. The sounds of the valley, the river, the wind, his own heartbeat, all were gone. He was utterly alone in a void of cold sorrow. Panic seized him. Every instinct screamed at him to flee, to sing, to fight his way back to the familiar warmth of the light. But then he remembered Alara's words, "Listen." He forced himself to be still. He ceased all resistance. He simply stood there in the heart of the murk and opened his senses, not his eyes or his ears, but the senses of his soul. He did not try to project his light. He allowed the murk to be what it was. He surrendered. And in that surrender, in that terrifying stillness, something shifted. The uniform cold began to differentiate. He started to perceive things within the murk. They were not monsters or demons. They were echoes. Faint, sorrowful whispers of forgotten pains. He felt the echo of a child's silent grief over a lost pet, a grief the parents had dismissed as trivial. He felt the echo of a farmer's unspoken fear during a long drought, a fear he had hidden behind a stoic face. He felt the accumulated loneliness of the elderly, the secret heartbreaks of young lovers, the quiet anxieties and unexpressed disappointments of an entire community that believed it had to be joyful all the time because they lived in the valley of light. He realized the murk was not an invader. It was an exile. It was the collective pain body of his own people. It was everything they had judged as negative, weak, or unworthy of the light, and had therefore repressed. It was their shadow. And because Kalen was their sun singer, their spiritual anchor, it was his shadow too. His relentless singing of only joy and light had created an imbalance. He had, with the best of intentions, taught his people to fear and reject their own difficult emotions. He had helped create the very thing he was now fighting. A wave of profound compassion washed over him, displacing his fear. This was not a monster to be slain. This was a wounded child to be held. Standing there in the suffocating silence, Kalen began to sing again. But this was a song no one in the valley had ever heard from him. It was not a song of the sun. It was a song of the moon, a song of the deep earth, a song of the quiet, lonely night. He did not sing of strength, but of vulnerability. He did not sing of joy, but of the sacred beauty of sorrow. He wove the echoes he felt into his melody. He sang the child's grief, giving it a voice. He sang the farmer's fear, acknowledging its validity. He sang of loneliness and heartbreak, not as failures of the light, but as essential parts of the soul's experience. He was not pushing his light into the murk. He was finding the light that was already hidden within it. He was giving it a name. He named it grief. He named it fear. He named it solitude. He named it pain. And he called each name holy. As he sang this new song, this lullaby of acceptance, a miracle occurred. The murk did not flee. It began to swirl around him, drawn to the sound, drawn to the recognition. The thick, oppressive presence began to thin, to transform. It was like dense fog resolving into individual droplets of dew. The echoes of pain, having finally been heard and validated, began to release their charge. And as they did, they revealed something hidden beneath the sorrow: resilience, empathy, depth, and a quiet, profound wisdom. The murk did not vanish. It integrated. It flowed into Kalen, not as a poison, but as a vital nutrient his soul had been starving for. The coldness became a soothing coolness. The silence became a profound peace. His own inner light, which had flickered so dangerously, did not return to its former brilliance. Instead, it deepened, becoming richer, more resilient. It was no longer the simple, golden light of the sun. It was now an iridescent, silvery light, like that of the moon, which contains both the light and the darkness within it, a light that understands the shadows because it is born of them. When Kalen finally walked out of the thinning murk, he was changed. The people of the valley gasped. He looked older yet stronger. His eyes held a new depth, a knowing compassion that went beyond simple joy. And when he opened his mouth to sing for them, the song that emerged was breathtaking. It held the warmth of the sun and the coolness of the moon, the laughter of the day and the wisdom of the night. It healed not just their sicknesses, but their secret sorrows. It did not banish their fears, but taught them how to dance with them. The murk never fully disappeared from the northern peaks. It remained, a soft, misty presence, a reminder of the valley's wholeness. It no longer encroached because it was no longer in exile. Kalen taught his people to honor it, to visit it in their meditations, to listen to its whispers and learn from the wisdom of their own shadows. Kalen, the sun singer, had finally become Kalen, the soul singer. His mission was not to keep the darkness out, but to teach his people how to integrate it into a more authentic, resilient, and compassionate light. He was no longer just a warrior, he had become a guide. Now, chosen one, you must understand the truth of this parable, for Kalen's story is your story. The Lumina Valley is your conscious life, your sacred mission, the bright and beautiful self you present to the world. It is your noble aspiration to heal, to guide, to create. It is the part of you that is connected to the divine, the part you are rightly proud of. You are, in every sense, a sun singer, here to bring light and warmth to a world desperately in need of it. Your gift is real, and your purpose is vital. But the murk is your shadow. It is the accumulated collection of every part of yourself you have deemed unacceptable. It is your anger, your jealousy, your fear, your insecurity, your grief, your trauma. Because you have identified so strongly as a being of light, you have, with the purest intentions, waged a war against these parts of yourself. You have repressed them, denied them, shamed them, and tried to banish them, believing they were contamination, a stain on your divine purpose. You have become a warrior against your own soul. Your fight against your shadow is why you feel so exhausted. Kalen's fatigue is your fatigue. Your spiritual practices, your affirmations, your visualizations, when used as weapons to destroy a part of yourself, only strengthen the thing you are fighting. The shadow, like the murk, does not want to be destroyed. It wants to be acknowledged. It feeds on your resistance. The more you push it away, the more power it gains in the dark, sabotaging you in subtle and overt ways to get your attention. That procrastination, that self-doubt, that sudden rage, it is your shadow crying out for recognition. Alara, the wise hermit, represents your higher self, the deep, intuitive wisdom within you that is speaking to you even now through this transmission. Her message is the key to your liberation. Stop fighting. Turn around. Walk into the darkness you have feared for so long. Your shadow is not your enemy. It is the exiled part of your own kingdom. It is the keeper of your valley's forgotten pain. It holds the parts of your life story you were forced to disown to survive. It is the wounded inner child that needs your compassion, not your judgment. The terrifying silence Kalen experienced is the moment you stop distracting yourself and finally sit with your own uncomfortable feelings. It is the moment you drop the labels of good and bad, high vibe and low vibe, and simply allow a feeling to exist. This is the act of surrender. It is in this silence that you can finally begin to hear the whispers of your shadow. You can begin to feel the echoes of its pain, to understand where it came from, to see that its destructive behaviors are simply distorted, desperate attempts to protect you from being hurt again. Kalen's new song is the song of integration. It is the alchemy of the soul. When you stop judging your anger and instead ask it, what boundary of mine has been crossed? What part of me are you trying to protect? You are singing this song. When you stop shaming your fear and instead ask it, what precious thing are you afraid of losing? What lesson of caution are you teaching me? You are singing this song. You are not indulging the shadow. You are mining it for its hidden gold. For within your shadow lies your greatest power. Your repressed anger holds the key to your boundaries and your passion. Your repressed grief holds the key to your deepest capacity for compassion and connection. Your repressed fear holds the key to your wisdom and your prudence. Your shadow contains the very qualities you need to make your light effective in the world. A light that has not integrated its shadow is brittle, naive, and easily extinguished. But a light that has danced with its darkness is resilient, wise, and unbreakable. This is the wholeness you seek. The alchemical step you must now take is a conscious choice to change your relationship with your inner murk. It is a practical ritual of integration. I want you to set aside time this week, a sacred appointment with yourself. Sit in silence, close your eyes, and invite your shadow to come forward. Do not see it as a monster, but as a lost part of you, perhaps a younger version of yourself. Do not fight it. Do not judge it. Simply allow it to have a space before you. Then, with sincere curiosity and compassion, you will ask it 3 questions. First, what is it that you truly want for me? Listen for the answer that lies beneath the surface behavior. The part that procrastinates might want rest. The part that is angry might want respect. Listen. Second, what are you afraid of? The saboteur is often terrified of failure or judgment. The inner critic is often terrified of being abandoned. Listen to its fear without trying to fix it. The third and final question is the most powerful. You must ask, what gift do you hold for me that I have been rejecting? The answer will surprise you. The part of you that feels like a victim may hold the gift of profound empathy. The part of you that feels arrogant may hold the gift of true self-worth. The part of you that feels weak may hold the gift of gentle surrender. You must be willing to receive this gift. End your session by thanking this part of yourself for speaking with you and promising to listen again soon. This is not a one-time fix. This is a lifelong dance, a sacred practice of turning towards yourself with love instead of away from yourself in fear. This is the path of the soul singer. Each time you do this, you are retrieving a lost fragment of your power. You are healing the schism in your own soul. Your light will become richer, deeper, more authentic. You will become a safer space for others because you are no longer at war with yourself. Your presence alone will give others permission to be whole. The vow you must now make is a vow of wholeness. You are a chosen one, and your mission on this planet is not to be a perfect, flawless beacon of pure light. That is a fragile and unsustainable ideal. Your true mission is to become a living demonstration of integration. Your vow is to show the world that it is possible to embrace all parts of oneself, the light and the dark, the joy and the sorrow, the strength and the vulnerability, and weave them into a song of profound and resilient love. Therefore, I ask you now to place a hand on your heart. Feel the beat of your own life force. And make this vow, silently or aloud. I will no longer treat any part of my soul as an enemy. I will turn towards my shadow with courage and compassion. I will listen for its wisdom, I will retrieve its gifts, and I will walk the path of integration. My wholeness is my mission. My authenticity is my power. I am a chosen one and I choose to be whole, so be it. Your war is over. Your true work has just begun. To continue receiving the keys to this journey, ensure you subscribe and activate your notifications. The next cipher is already on its way.